back to Death Curse Society, everybody. Hope you're having a great day out there. And you know what? I just got the call. That means it's time for some stories around the campfire.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason.
Hey, come back!
First up on Stories Around the Campfire, we got a chance to review the film that's now available on Shudder. It's called The Call. It is terror strikes when a recently deceased woman rises from the grave to seek revenge against a group of friends who tormented her. Starring Lynn Shaye and Tobin Bell and directed by Timothy Woodward Jr., this film dropped on Shudder July 15th. Colonel, what are your first initial thoughts on The Call?
The Call. Yes. Initial thoughts. One, did not believe this movie took place in the 80s. Some of the wardrobe was there, but other than that, not really. Lynn Shaye, Tobin Bell, fucking killed it. And leading up to The Call, I was really digging this. But as the call started coming in, I started losing interest. Like you're losing signal. It just really, it got to a point where I was like, okay. Then the movie was over. I was like, okay. All right. On to the next one. Yeah, initial thoughts was just, it was just a meh movie.
This one could have benefited from having the AT&T girl help.
It could have. I'm trying to behave.
Again, throwback, circle, full circle. Ziggy, how about you? Initial thoughts on The Call?
One of the best setups I've seen in a while. One of the best jump scares I've seen in a long, long while. Got me good. Boy, oh boy, those calls started being made and they just went a direction that I did not like with them and how they handled it. So, again, a great setup. Story was amazingly set up. You're like, wow, this is kind of cool. In the 80s, okay, they don't do too much to back their 80s credibility. The clothes do fit. I mean, they set you up so good where you want to see what's going to happen. And then it's just such a kick in the balls.
That's how they set you up and knock you down, man.
I know. It's not a good kick in the balls, man.
This is the one where, to me, it's going to kick in the balls. Maybe this might help you a little bit. It's kind of like the setup was so great, you get kicked in the balls, but you're so happy with that setup that it takes a few seconds for you to register that you got kicked in the fucking balls. And then we realize that you're fucking down. That delayed reaction.
Well, I was just disappointed with the way it worked out, and we can get into it, but man, the first half of that movie, fantastic. The second half, not.
Here's my problem with stuff set in the 80s or contemporary sort of period pieces, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever these days. They'll get the clothes right. They'll throw an arcade in there. There's always got to be an arcade in every fucking 80s show. Just to, oh, remember the arcades? Of course we do. And then they'll get the hair right, mostly. After that, nothing else. Nothing else is right. Dialogue is absolute shit. The attitudes and personalities of some of these kids that are supposed to be high schoolers, dude, far beyond what the high schoolers that were around in the 80s were actually thinking and doing back then. It's so ridiculous. That's my problem with contemporary period pieces like this. Yeah, again, I thought this was a good setup. I like the idea of the film, and it's just poorly executed. And when Tobin Bell delivers the monologue about, here's the game that you're going to play. Of course, it's a game from Tobin Bell. Wonder where they got that idea. Fucking original stealing pricks. No, but when he's laying out this game that they're supposed to play, I dreaded, in my head, was thinking, shit, this is going to go, this got to be better than this. This got to be better than the dreaded place that I thought it was going in my head. Sure enough, it went straight to that spot, and that's where they went. We'll get into that here in a second. But let's talk about some positives. Lynn Shaye, Tobin Bell, together. Glorious or meh, Colonel?
I want to say glorious, but I can't say glorious because they weren't on screen together enough for it to be glorious. That is a huge opportunity. They fucking dropped the ball on. I'll be honest.
There's one scene, I think.
yeah, one scene. It's like, after, she gets terrorized, he comes home from out of town or whatever, and they're talking, and that's it. But like what Crank was just saying, he has them, hey, she left you in the will. You're going to do this. You're going to get this money. But he really stole that fucking scene for me. I was like, oh, he did such a good job setting that up. And you really felt the anger and pain in his voice, because Tobin Bell can. It was great. Great. Lynn Shaye was great for the 5 minutes total we got over in the movie. My big complaint was towards the end. I guess you say her ghost voice. It ended up just being way too much. It was way too layered, and you really just lost me. It was like, okay, this is just silly.
Totally like this with her voice. It was very hard to hear and understand.
Yeah, but that sounded better than the end product in this movie. I just wish I had more time on screen together. That's it. Just a little bit more.
Agreed. I thought it was a wasted opportunity to have them together and not have scenes together, except the one. And it was a very short scene. Now, it's a touching scene, and it sets up what happens. But, man, even do some fake flashback scenes where you see them together or something. You got to give me more if you're going to put these two horror legends in a movie together. And they're husband and wife, and you do one fucking scene with them, yeah, I've already figured out that you're dropping the ball where you shouldn't. Ziggy, what did you think about them in the movie?
They're great. And I'm sure that they squeezed out, it's had no more than a day or two with the two of them. Has to be for something this small of a budget. But they are good. And as I've said, as you said, as Colonel said, when he sets that shit up, dude, I was like, fuck yes, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this. I can't wait. And then, yeah, she comes back in a past form, undead as it were, whatever. And I don't know, story gets all fucking mucked up, man, because every kid that they're fucking with here has a past evil that they have to deal with and confront again. It's almost like they're facing hell. That's what I took out of it anyway. So,
or kind of a Dante Inferno kind of thing.
Dante Inferno. But those two, God, you should have found a much better way to utilize them more. Very discombobulated, the whole thing at the end. It really, really fucks up the movie. It literally makes you forget the awesome setup. By the time you get to the end, you don't care anymore.
First off, I want to say yes. Him setting up the game is fantastic. And I love the fact that while he's setting up this game, he's got 4 people that he, in a way, blames for his wife's death. And they weren't necessarily directly responsible, but indirectly they kind of caused her demise. So he's got 4 people that he blames for his wife's death there, and he's laying out his wife's last wishes to them. You can tell, like you said, the heartbreak is in his voice, and it's there, and the hurt, the pain is in his voice. And if he could, if it wasn't against what his wife wanted, he could reach over and snap every single one of their necks right there. And he would, but he kept such a calm demeanor throughout that discussion, except for one moment where he lashes out at Tanya. And I thought that, if anybody needs a short lesson on acting, that scene right there from Tobin Bell.
He's a pro.
Secondly, I want to bring up, there is a scene where the kids are outside throwing stones at the windows and stuff like that. Well, we find out that Edward is away traveling. Not sure exactly why. He's just not at home, but Edith is there by herself when this happens. How about the filmmakers? Let them be in the house. Let them have a scene where he's like, looking for the gun. Let me go get these kids. And she's like, no. Let me go deal with them. And there's your scene right there that could have been
more time together,
Can I get a rewrite on this? Send it my way. Let me do a polish on this.
Punch it up a little bit.
Yeah. We'll punch it up. But with that scene of maybe just a small thing like that, spiced it up a little bit for you, Colonel?
Oh, definitely. Because, there's a scene where she comes out to confront the kids. And she's like, you're lucky my husband's not here. He'd shoot you. Mm-hmm. Your quick little rewrite. You're lucky I stopped my husband from coming out here and shooting you. Been fucking perfect. And that way, as I said, you have that little more interaction of him, calming her down. So we didn't even see that. She was already done. And right. They had this little talk, and such a missed opportunity to get the best out of this 1 or 2 days. You had these 2 on set.
We don't really know, though. we don't, maybe he was coming in, she was on her way out. They only had limited time to shoot. I don't know, man. Maybe something came up. It seems incomplete. That's what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah, I know we don't know, but fuck, work your schedule around it. Okay, well, this is when we get these two. Let's film all this bullshit first. I don't know if people know this. Our fans, I know you guys do. You're intelligent. They don't shoot movies in the order it goes. They just film when they can, what they can. Why not take advantage of having two fucking horror legends? That was the draw to this movie. I don't know about you guys. The synopsis could have said it's a bunch of kids shitting on each other. Starring Tobin Bell and Lynn Shaye. I'm fucking in, dude. Fuck yeah. It was like that fucking, what was it? That movie, Kane Hodder and Bill Moseley. Unit 37 or whatever, where they play the paramedics.
Mm-hmm.
Movie was fucking awful. But I watched it because it said Kane Hodder and Bill Moseley. I was fucking in. Death House. Oh, Expendables of Horror. I watched that piece of shit because who was in it. And they did such a good job with these two the first half of the movie. There's so much more they could have capitalized.
Ziggy, agree?
Yeah. I mean, there's not much more to say on top of that. More Tobin and Lynn Shaye would have been much better in any capacity, but they needed a whole lot more to save what was coming, what they had there. They would have had to give us a lot to forgive that ending for me.
She was credited as a producer as well, so I'm not sure how active or involved she was, but Lynn was credited as a producer at the end. I didn't notice that. So
she failed as a producer.
Good to see her, but not enough.
Well, like Ziggy, I think, mentioned, the kids have secrets. There's the death of Tanya's sister. There's the beatings that were given out to Zach and Brett by their father. And then at some point, it seems like Brett got even worse treatment later on. That's hinted, but we don't really know. Chris has a situation with a past girlfriend who has died and obviously pregnant. All these things come out in the call. Now, this is what I was talking about. Okay, you got to make a phone call and you got to face like your past. You got to face like a bad decision you made in your past and make it right. This was the thing that whenever I heard him setting up the call, it was like, please don't go this route. Please don't go this route. You went this route. Did that annoy you, Ziggy?
Look, it's a 1 minute call. They got to stay on the phone for 1 full minute. And right away, she's coming at him on the phone with the,
"Oh, it's time. Look in the mirror. See, we're going to do this. What happened back when you were a child?"
And they play into it. And then it turns into kind of a haunted house to them when they kind of enter her world. Nothing is real. Everything's kind of shaky and out of focus. It's almost like being in a Freddy dream world.
Lynn Shaye in a Freddy movie, huh? Like Dream World? Man, it sounds like her brother owned New Line Cinema or something,
Nepotism, damn it. No, we love Lynn Shaye, though, so it's okay. But it's just when they get into facing their demons or what they're having to rectify, how are these guys guilty of what they faced when they were fucking kids over now tormenting an old lady, throwing some rocks through her window? That justifies their eternal fucking suffering? That's what I have a problem with this fucking story,
Here's why I have a problem with this fucking story. You're not flatliners and you never fucking will be. So go fuck yourself. Don't do that again. Please. Girl.
It is very flatliners. You're right. Yeah. With the heavy colors and everything, like the neon shit. But it's just so weak, man. Because two of them face their fucking own dad, stand up to dad and shit. And it failed for me. It just didn't work. It was hokey. Absolutely hokey. Now, the other one's stories. Now, Chris's story was a little more, okay, there's something here that's not really, again, not his fucking fault. Mm-hmm. He just wanted to hold off telling some news, finishing the school year before they announced that him and his girl were having a baby. What's so wrong with that? And then, of course, Tanya obviously killed off her little sister, and you kind of get a hint of that right away.
Yeah.
So she's really the only one that did something that was heinous, in my opinion. They're blaming the old lady. They're blaming Edith for Tanya's sister's death. And that's kind of the connection to it. But it's thin, man. It's so fucking thin.
I don't mind necessarily the backstory of Tanya being the catalyst of this, but there's a better way they could have gotten to it rather than this cliche flatliners storyline stealing bullshit. And it still could have been done with phone call. I don't personally know what it is right now, but it could have been done better. Colonel, did you like the phone call stuff at all, or is that where it started going downhill for you?
Oh, I completely agree with you guys. Like, I didn't mind the premise of the phone calls. I'm like, okay, the first one, let's see what happens. And kind of like I'm like, oh, he was beat by his dad. Oh, I didn't realize him and Brett were brothers. Chris. Oh, his pregnant girlfriend took off in an angry storm, literally in a storm, and wrecked and died. Oh, Tanya's a cold-hearted bitch and killed her sister, took her necklace. Okay. This is way more drama I ever faced by the time I was fucking 17, 18 years old. Minus, the beatings. I know that's in real life. Like, that's, I was lucky enough to not come from a violent family. So that one I can overlook. Okay, I get. But man, just what the fuck? And it's like they tortured Edith because Tanya told him, oh, she killed my sister.
Right.
Is her fucking top game that good? Because let's be honest, she's pretty much blowing everybody in the fucking group.
Seemed like it anyway.
Yeah, so it was like her head game was so fucking good. These dudes are like, fuck it, whatever, baby girl. We'll throw rocks at those old people's house. I don't care. We'll slash your tires.
Except Brett. I don't think she was blowing Brett. I think Brett was,
she might have, getting a little handy J or something.
I think Brett would have rather had Chris.
He might have, but dude, this is the 80s. Okay, I'm sure he was fucking hiding it. He wasn't out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
He might have put out, but wasn't all the way out. It was just like, okay, that is just whatever. I just did not give a fuck. Once the Brett story told, I was like, yeah.
What gave it away for me, or what kind of tipped Brett into possibly a gay character for me, was when they were at the arcade and he said, hey, you want to go play Pac-Man? Well, I want to go play Pac-Man. All righty, Colonel, the ending. What did you think of this ending? And feel free to summarize it for us, too.
I don't even know if I want to summarize it because I just didn't care. I would like to backtrack a little bit to the first phone call, though. Okay. This is where I knew I was into some hokey bullshit. All right. I know we're talking supernatural here. I'm being way too fucking literal. All right. Well, they made this phone call with this 5 fucking digits. 5. I counted. They literally got to the point where I was counting. And that rotary phone. They were only doing 5 fucking digits. Okay, whatever. But the fact that they went to the cemetery and heard the phone ringing under the ground. Ding, 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 ding. I was like, okay, I'm in for some bullshit now. I just knew. That was the giveaway for me. Like, okay.
Well, and one other thing about that first phone call, it's supposed to be 60 seconds. It's supposed to be 1 minute. But even in film time, it was like 2.5 minutes. Yeah. So they fucked up there too.
I'm not even going to explain this fucking ending. I'm just glad it was over.
There was a story point where Edward does mention something about, you're going to call Edith. She asked me to bury a phone with her. So there's a phone down there with her. And when it went to the cemetery and you could hear like the muffled ringing coming from the ground, she's hokey.
Dude, I thought that was pretty cool, actually. That was the last moment of enjoyment for me with that movie, because once he entered the fucking other side, that's when it fucking crashed for me.
You would think that was cool.
It was cool. You're not cool.
Ziggy, summarize the ending and what do you think of it?
Okay, so one at a time, they have to go in with these 1-minute calls. When the one is out, he's supposed to go to the back door, meet Edward, and then his money will be waiting for him in the morning. No one gets out until Chris is in this world, in the other side, and he's given up, curled in a corner crying, and his dead pregnant girlfriend comes up out of nowhere, offers him a hand, and it's legit. It's really her. It's not a trick, a demonic trick or anything, and says, the way you came in is how you get out, meaning find the phone, which he does. Then he goes back to save Tanya, which is a mistake. We find out Tanya, in her world, killed her sister, and she's stuck in there. And then he gets stuck in there too. They kill Edward with a shotgun. All of a sudden, they're all trapped inside, looking out the other side of the mirror, just kind of, they're shaky little fucking trapped in that offsetting dream world shit. And it's terrible. It ends right there.
This is why I describe it. That Zach gave it to him. He's a better professional than I am. Because I was like, fuck you.
Well, it doesn't end on the mirror, though. It ends over black with the phone ringing.
Yes.
And it being picked up, and you hear one more time, Edith.
Hello?
Well, man, I'm not looking forward to giving this one a number, but Colonel, do you want to rate this one?
Oh, yes. because I don't have a choice. I'm not going to talk about this too long for the rating. I'm going to give you a rating. I'll tell you why. I am literally going to give this movie a 5, and there's one reason only, because I want you all to watch it just for the first half to see Tobin Bell act his ass off. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I have nothing else to say about this piece of shit.
Ziggy, how about you?
The best thing about this movie, Tobin Bell, Lynn Shaye, and their limited time in it, and it's a limited score because of it, because the rest is ultimately forgettable. And I'm giving it a 4.
Man, I wanted to like this. I wanted to like it primarily because of Tobin Bell and Lynn Shaye. 2 professionals in a field of amateurs here. And frankly, I'm shocked. I mean, that must have been where the budget went, was for them for one day. Maybe the only reason they did it was, as a favor to Lynn as a producer. Maybe that's why she had a producer's credit. Hey, you give me a producer's credit, you bump my pay a little bit, I'll get you Tobin Bell. Like has been said, great setup, poor second and third act execution. The cheesiest, hokiest bullshit sins of the past that you have to get revisited. It's such an old trope now that you would think there would be new sins, new trauma that would be explored here rather than the same old bullshit every time. Damn it. Yeah, I'm giving this a 4 as well. I was thinking about going lower, but man, Tobin Bell and Lynn Shaye get 2 points apiece, and the rest of the movie gets a fucking 0. So
I'm saying 2 apiece, dude. 2 apiece for those 2 alone.
You know, it's really fucking sad. This movie, like I said, once the calls started, was literally, this is going to be fucked up, worse than The Resort for me. Because at least The Resort had that little bit of gore to it to save it a little bit. This was just, they're at least on par. Yeah, just a little bit. What?
Okay, never mind. We're just going to skip right through this and not even going to think about it.
See you next Tuesday. Jesus.
All right, so there's The Call. The Call is available right now on Shudder. You can check it out. Let us know what you think. I hope you're not as disappointed as we are, but if you find anything validating out of this film, please let us know what it was, as long as it's not Tobin Bell and Lynn Shaye. If it's anything else, let us know.
Shudder has still got a pretty good batting average for putting these originals out, so it's a rarity that they're missing like this. Let's hope they improve better.
Have no complaints really against Shudder for what they're doing. They're doing their thing, and I like that. I dig that. That's going to wrap it up for Stories Around the Campfire. We'll be back in just a little bit, so stick around. Hey, you guys want to go play some Pac-Man? I'm going to go play some Pac-Man.
Okay.
Hi, this is James Dude Courtney, and you're watching Death Curse Society.
What up? It's the Colonel Death Curse Society. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I punched the numbers in my computer. The computer don't lie. If you don't subscribe and watch more videos, you may be a dead fuck. So be sure to click over here for more videos from Death Curse Society.